Video games. They're highly anticipated when marketed well. Sometimes that can lead to their downfall. On tonight's episode of Degenerate J, we are taking a look at 5 video games that were, really highly anticipated, but they fell flat.
Yeah, dude. A lot of foreplay and then just no finish, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a real shame. Number 5. The first game that we have is No Man's Sky.
Oh, yeah. Doozy to start, dude.
No Man's Sky? More like One Man's Lie.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
That was a big thing online that they said when No Man's Sky came out and really made a mistake. So here's the thing. You're going to hear me clicking here. We actually have a list of promises and features. This was from Internet Historian originally. It was chronicled on Reddit. I will actually include the link in the description because these people deserve some credit for their periodic table they created here. There was going to be a lot of different things in this game at launch. Large-scale joinable space battles between factions, destroying space stations, roaming freighters, factions with differentiating attributes. I'm just running through different stuff.
There's
Ring
even some small
planets.
stuff, just rivers. Nah.
Radio chatter. Nope. Name your ship. Nuh-uh. Fly between star systems manually. Nope.
Play as a space pirate. Nope. That's probably the most disappointing in my opinion.
Yeah, there was so much stuff that was supposed to be in here. By the way, I think one of the biggest oopsies that I don't even see here, maybe it's on the table and I'm not seeing it, but it was the idea that there would be multiplayer in the game at launch and that you'd be able to find your friends. And the way that they marketed it was like, hey, listen, yeah, you can find your friends, but the game is so massive, you probably won't. That's kind of how it was marketed. But it later came out that you could not find them. And they had to add that in. So that was a problem.
That's a big thing to lie about, man.
Yeah.
And listen,
Allegedly,
of course. I would never. Yeah. No, come on. But
yeah.
I think it's crazy that they had like this giant marketing campaign. I think the guy was on Conan at one point, wasn't he? Talking about this game, and there was this unbelievable amount of hype. It was going to be great, and what a disappointment. With all of these promises, it's a immense graph of things that people were very excited about that just, it's red pretty much the whole way down.
Yeah.
And so that's really tough to see. As someone who paid good money for this, I think, they've kind of fixed this stuff now later on, and that's kind of been a theme of a lot of games recently, to be honest. They try to push the game out, get you to buy it, and I don't know, make the stock guys happy, the investors. But then you really have to work hard for a year to kind of build that trust back. And I guess that'll kind of be a theme maybe of games in the future too. I hope it stops, but it's just kind of been happening more and more. This is a prime example of that.
Hopefully they're realizing that instead of making the investors happy, they should be making r/Wall Street Bets happy.
That's a fact, dude.
Because they're the future.
GME go burr.
And yeah, here's the thing with that, by the way. Before we, hop out of this, you kind of said it. This game did improve a lot. It's worth giving it its credit. We're not saying any of these games are awful now. A couple of them. But, it still did fix it. There are upcoming things with this game as well that people are still looking forward to, and it is now a good game. But the damage was done at launch.
It sure was, yeah.
Number 4! The next one we have is a game that we have talked about on and off on this channel. We even did a Let's Play of it and of its DLC. That is Marvel's Avengers. I call it Marvel's Avengers. I always made that joke. Dude, some people took that seriously. They were like, it's pronounced Marvel's Avengers. It's like, dude, if you can't understand sarcasm in a joke, I cannot help you at that point.
No.
Like, I feel like there's nothing to say here,
Right, yeah. That's kind of out of your control at that point. And honestly, I could see where people would make the mistake, though. It's pretty close, and I've called it Avengers once or twice.
Avengers. Here's the thing with Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, dude.
It came out of the gate looking like discount MCU. And yes, it wasn't supposed to be MCU. But they clearly were trying to capitalize on some of the hype behind that stuff, with the marketing and everything.
Endgame just ending.
Yeah. And when it came out, people were disappointed. Yes, if you like this game, again, I've said it 1,000 times, that's great, happy for you. The majority of people were very disappointed with this launch, with the bare minimalist, amount of things to do, repetitive missions, fighting the same few couple of enemies over and over again, fighting the same structures over and over again, even in the DLC.
Yeah, you're in the same maps over and over again, and a lot of times you're getting the same dialogue from the same characters that you're using. The progression system was not rewarding in any capacity, and obviously these are still problems that are going on now, so this isn't like No Man's Sky. there are still quite a few issues going on with this game where it's just not rewarding to play anymore, and their player count is suffering because of that. They're trying to inject new characters. I think we've done a few videos on that and talked about that, and how we don't really see Hawkeye and Kate Bishop being a difference maker at all. Nonetheless, there's hope that maybe they'll be able to figure it out in the future and rework the system. But this game really just, from the beginning, people were questioning the trailers and the way the games looked. It was just obvious that something was off. Like, this didn't look right. There was something that just wasn't, the hype was very suspicious from the beginning. And I think the suspicions were definitely correct. There was just so many issues with this game. And it definitely, although there was a fair amount of hype, it didn't meet the hype, I think, by any standards.
Number 3. Next up, we have Aliens Colonial Marines. Now, no list about disappointing games could be complete, I guess, without Aliens Colonial Marines. While there are other, fits that could have worked, this was a nightmare. Here's the thing with this. I'm not saying any of this actually happened. I don't have proof of it, but there were so many allegations of misdoings with this too, of like Gearbox redirecting money that was supposed to go to Aliens Colonial Marines and time into Borderlands, which was a problem. By the way, Borderlands is great.
Great game.
So if that happened, I guess it helped Borderlands.
Yeah, thank you.
But and not going into this, false marketing accusations. By the way, Sega was actually ordered to pay like $1 million for false marketing with this, and Gearbox was still fighting it at the time. I don't remember what ended up happening with Gearbox's end of the case, but they were certainly in hot water for all of this. It was a mess, man. The game came out broken. The alien AI is horrible. They're so stupid.
The dialogue's really bad from the characters that you're playing as.
It's ugly.
The gameplay's a nightmare. Like that just wasn't smooth at all.
No, it's all bad. And the thing with this too that's crazy is actually later on a modder or a programmer, I don't remember, an amateur one, or I say that as like someone who didn't work at Gearbox or Sega or whatever, went into the code and was able to change one line of code, and the aliens became much smarter. It was a programming error, and it was sloppy, and that's what made the aliens so dumb in this game. That's only one issue, by the way. But it goes to show that if there was less sloppiness and more attention to detail with this game could have been salvaged as at least okay. As is, it's not even that. It is a joke.
Well, I think that's the theme and the word of the entire game. It's just sloppy. There was just no execution with this game. I think there was a broad idea that maybe could have been fun if executed correctly, but there was zero execution from the marketing, from apparently the coders, just anything involved in this game. It was just a complete disaster. And there was a fair amount of hype with it, and it's a bummer that it didn't pan out, because I think there was potential, but yeah, it was pretty poor.
And I do want to point out just real quick, I can't guarantee that this correlation is what happened, but Alien Isolation came out later as a fantastic Alien game. However, it sadly didn't have a wide range of sales, or array of sales. It just didn't do that well. And I truly, truly do believe that part of that was damage of the Alien brand over time. From things like Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, I always forget the name because it's so bad. Those movies, uncertainty in the future of the franchise with some of the prequel stuff that I like, and also just the launch of Colonial Marines coming out and just being horrible.
A lot of good faith getting ruined, dude.
Yes, yeah. And it hit the point where by the time Alien was coming out with good stuff again, no one cared. So it's a shame, but this contributed to that, and that sucks.
For sure.
Number 2! There is some fun to be had here. Star Wars Battlefront 1, not the original, the EA one.
Correct. Yeah, so this game had a crazy amount of hype because it was a return. It was on new technology on the PS4. We were getting the Star Wars Battlefront experience. It was supposed to be this just expansive game, and you saw the graphics. The graphics are still phenomenal.
Dude, the Frostbite engine.
It's fantastic.
It was going to be that's the thing, is it was being pushed as like Frostbite engine. It's going to be like Battlefield, and this was when Battlefield was considered great. Destructible environments, huge landscapes, and people were like, "Oh, Star Wars Battlefield."
And that's, I think, where the hype was, is you see how good this game looks, and even in game, like, that didn't really disappoint. I think that is something that they did really well. But you get into this game and you have fun and you're really enjoying the nostalgia for the first probably like couple hours, maybe 5-10 hours. Once you kind of break through the surface, there's no campaign. and you're playing the same missions over and over again, it gets really repetitive very quickly. And I think that's the problem with this game, is that the disappointment comes in the lack of depth in Star Wars Battlefront 1. And that was, I guess, what was so disappointing for Star Wars fans, is you're looking for a game which is what Star Wars Battlefront 2 is now, which is a very deep game. There's tons
Didn't
of
even
stuff.
launch as it, though.
No, that one started bad too, but like they fixed it to where there's a ton of, like, it's a great game now. And I think that they, like, 19 million new players started playing it recently because it was a free game on the
They
Epic
really
Game
should
Store.
not have abandoned that game.
No, it's still gaining insane amounts of players, but the first one was kind of, it just lacked that depth, and the hype was unbelievable for this game because of the trailers and stuff like we were talking about. So it's just, once you get into the game a little bit further and really start pushing towards the 10, 15 hours, I think is where you started seeing players fall off a bit.
No campaign at all, which, by the way, we've seen is kind of a mess for shooters. That's just not a good thing to do. Even if people don't play it, you lose good faith right there.
For sure.
Horrible is a strong word. Boring single-player challenges to try and replace a campaign, which no one cared about. A token system? It was awful.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? You would run around the battlefield, and like to get a hero, you'd have to find the token, or like to get a ship, you'd have to find the token.
So it's totally like almost like
random
and luck based a little bit.
Or camping those areas, waiting for them to spawn, because people would kind of figure out sort of ish where they're gonna pop up, and then they'd be waiting there and just kind of screwing over the whole mission anyway, or the whole match. It was just a mess, man. It's a disappointment. There is still fun to be had here if you got the game for free or something. Almost no one's left on it, but you could. But it really was built up to be something amazing, and it was not.
Yeah, if you're gonna play a Star Wars Battlefront game, it's Battlefront 2 right now. That is a great game with a super high player count, a great community. It's a great time. This is just, unfortunately, it just fell flat.
Yeah.
Number one.
It's Destiny 1. Here's the thing with this. At first, the loot system was pretty meh, not very good. Even though it was marketed around that, the story was really bare bones and bad. I would say the original base story of Destiny was very poor.
Wasn't it not very long, too?
Very short.
Yeah.
And ironically, it was from the same company that created Halo. One of the best story-driven first-person shooter franchises of all time. Fantastic. System seller. People bought Xbox to play Halo.
For sure.
So you're saying that company is creating new games. Well, I'm on board, 100%. And I think that was a lot of the sentiment behind this is the Halo people making a new game. Now, what a lot of people don't know is, when after Reach, when they were kind of going in their own way and everything like that, basically what ended up happening eventually is 343 Industries split off from Bungie. They did their own thing. They were the Halo people. Some people who worked on the original Halo stayed at Bungie. Some went to 343. It ended up fractioning the Halo teams that originally existed that were still at Bungie. So you had some of those good people here, some of those good people here, new people, conflicts of ideas of what they wanted for Destiny too. Hey, we want Destiny to be a loot-driven, open world, grindy game where you run around and shoot stuff a bunch of times and it feels good. Hey, no, we want a really strong story and you can have the open world too. Back and forth, they reworked the entire story supposedly right near the end of it, which is why it was so bad. It just had so many problems, and after a long time, Destiny the Taken King came out, and it fixed many of them. It could never fix the nature of this game where, again, it will be outdated and no one will care about what you did on it. That is a problem with all online first-person shooter games, but that is a problem that it could have dealt with if that was its only one. Instead, it was more like the cherry on top of a pile of garbage when it launched.
Right, and I think that's the problem, is that it was the launch, and this was a game, like you said, that I think The Taken King fixed a lot of stuff. I played through the main story, and like you said, it was just kind of, it was fine. You can get through it really quick if you're just focusing on that, and you're not really doing side missions, and you kind of just cruise through. But after that, I remember I played with you a little bit, and the interest never stayed consistent. And I think it was because of the way the loot system was designed at the time before The Taken King was just kind of bland. It was a little too grindy, because there is a difference. I don't mind grinding and playing games and eventually leveling guys up and working towards that stuff for a while. That's fine. But I think there is a fine line there, and I don't think they found it until later. And I think that was why it fell a little bit flat as compared to what it could have been, especially with the hype that came from, like you said, that Halo connection. That's a real bummer that it like you have that much hype and the reputation of the Halo games, and then you follow it up with that. It was still, like, I don't think it was a disaster of a game by any means, but in comparison to the hype, it definitely fell a little bit short.
Yeah, it's a shame. It was fixed later. Destiny 2 launched with similar problems, and honestly, they've lost a lot of good faith with the community because of this stuff, even in Destiny 2. So it's a shame. Maybe the series can pull out of it eventually. I don't know. But it had so much potential, and it screwed the pooch. It really did. So anyway, these are our 5 picks for games that had like a lot of hype behind them, a lot of excitement, and they launched to disappointing reception. People were disappointed, not happy, they had issues. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Were there games like this for you that you thought were super hyped, that launched and had a ton of issues maybe you weren't a fan of? Are there other popular games like this that we didn't cover? What do you think about them? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to check out the Patreon. Like I said, reworked, over 80 exclusive videos to patrons only, and the secondary Let's Play channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through a wide variety of games, respond to comments, talk about all kinds of different stuff, podcast style. If any of you have ever asked, why do you not have a podcast anymore? That's where it is now. So be sure to check that out. Links are in the description down below, along to all the social media, Twitter trying to grow, Instagram trying to grow, Discord, thriving community. We'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everybody, stay shway.